For me, one of the biggest sources of fear when I was pregnant was the idea of a head fitting out of my vagina. I didn't think it was possible. I was pretty sure my body would just rip open during that phase. Luckily, I was very wrong, but that fear has been echoed to me numerous times in my childbirth prep classes, from women that are in the throes of labor and they're nearing the pushing phase. They're totally freaked out by it. I can absolutely guarantee that your body will not rip open. Our bodies were made to open, expand, and release a baby. So don't worry, you're not gonna rip open. You might have a bit of a tear, which sounds really scary, I know, but for most women, they don't even notice when they tore. And afterwards, the doctor stitches you up and you'll heal great. I had a tear, I had absolutely no idea, and I didn't have an epidural. I didn't feel a tear during an unmedicated birth. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of confidence about that. Okay, so I'm gonna go over 2 different ways that you can push a baby out or help a baby emerge. The first way is more traditional, and it is what most doctors and nurses in the hospital are going to instruct you to do. The second one is a more gentle way to help baby emerge. It is more a breathing technique. I really don't believe that there is one right or wrong way to get a baby out. I think you have to tune in to what feels best for your body. I've seen plenty of women use the really gentle technique and it works great. I've seen others that tried it and it just wasn't happening, and we had to do this first technique. So first and foremost, let's start with the pros. So a really cool thing that happens when you are ready to start pushing is that for most women, you get this surge of energy. It's so empowering to realize that now you finally get to do something, versus the first phases of labor. As I've said in previous videos, for the most part, you're just breathing, surrendering. Of course, there's different tools that you want to use, but again, you're just surrendering. But during the pushing phase, it's time to do something, and that feels really great for most women. Another really incredible thing is that by this point, your body has built up so many endorphins that for a lot of women, their perineum just feels a lot of pressure and fullness, but it actually feels somewhat numb. This is what happened to me. I never actually experienced the ring of fire. It all just felt like a lot of pressure and a lot of numbness. I got exhausted during this phase, but it was actually the least painful part of childbirth for me, which was great, as I'm the one that was afraid I was gonna die as I pushed the baby out. It was actually the easiest part in regards to pain, not so easy in regards to effort, because I had to utilize this technique for pushing my son out, which took about 3 hours. It took a long time, but I did it, and both of us were healthy during it. So also know that we never know how long it's going to take to push the baby out. I've seen first-time moms get the baby out in 30 minutes of pushing. Again, for me, it was 3 hours. So you never know. Okay, so first off, a really important thing to start focusing on now is that when you do those pelvic floor exercises, which is important, you want to strengthen those pelvic floor muscles, that you want to focus just as much on relaxing and releasing those muscles and figuring out how to make yourself do that versus just pulling up and tightening them. Because what happens is during the pushing phase, when we're pushing, we want to be engaging our abdominal muscles so they push the baby down while relaxing our pelvic floor so those muscles will open and release and create space for baby's head to come down. We don't want them to tighten and lift and squeeze, which actually impedes baby's progress. So it's really important to practice the sensation of, again, not just figuring out what it feels like to release those pelvic floor muscles, but to contract your abdominal muscles while also relaxing the pelvic floor muscles. This is a bit like patting the top of your head while you rub your belly. It's not an easy thing to figure out, which is why I really recommend starting to practice that now. So fully relaxing those pelvic floor muscles is one of the greatest things you can do. You can also prep your perineum, where that ring of fire happens, by doing a perineal tissue massage. So a perineal tissue massage helps to soften the perineum, which is the muscles and the skin between your vagina and your rectum. This is usually the area that tears if you have a tear, but luckily you can do this massage to help to make a tear less likely, to help that area bounce back after baby. So to do it, you get an oil that only has one ingredient, like jojoba oil, almond oil, olive oil. You coat these 2 fingers or your thumb. You sit on the toilet with your feet up in a chair. You insert the fingers or the thumb about 2 inches into the vagina, and you follow a U-shaped pattern, really focusing on pushing towards the bottom to help stretch out that area that's pretty tight. And I recommend doing it for 10 to 15 minutes every night for the 4 to 6 weeks leading up to your due date. I recommend pushing it to the point of discomfort so you can practice your breathing techniques and other pain relieving tools, so you can realize that they actually work and that you can have stretching in that area without totally freaking out. I feel like this is a really empowering, effective exercise that is significantly going to help you push and might actually shorten the time that it takes baby to come on out. Okay, so the next one, you do not want to start pushing until you are fully dilated at 10 centimeters. So even if you feel like, I really want to push, like I'm feeling the urges, until you have the go-ahead from your doctor or your midwife that you are fully dilated, do not start pushing, because what this can do is cause swelling in the cervix, which can also impede baby's progress down and out. So even if you feel like pushing, hold off until you're fully dilated. I also recommend not pushing until you have an uncontrollable urge to do so, until your body is almost pushing without you even doing anything. So even if you reach 10 centimeters, I really recommend, unless you have a medical circumstance that requires you get baby out as soon as possible, to just rest, to allow yourself to keep having contractions that will gently work baby down. All of those contractions are working to get baby closer and closer to emergence, but to again hold off until you feel like, I can't even stop it. My body is pushing without me even trying. If you wait until that period, you're going to conserve your energy, and it's going to be so much easier to push baby down and out. It's also important to know that sometimes your surges, aka your contractions, they sometimes rest in between becoming fully dilated at 10 and between you being ready to push. So you might become fully dilated and then your contractions might stop for a while. Don't freak out. Don't think that anything is wrong. I think of this as a blessing, because it's your body giving you an opportunity to rest and rejuvenate, maybe have a light snack, drink some water to prepare yourself for the energy that will be exerted during the pushing phase. So again, if labor rests, take a nap, eat some food, and more than likely your surges will start up before you know it, and it'll be time to push. Okay, so make sure that you are only pushing during contractions. If you push between contractions, you are not only tiring out your body, you're making it harder for your baby to replenish their stores of oxygen in between contractions. You're just wasting energy. So totally go ragdoll, just start taking deep breaths in between surges. Don't do any pushing unless you are surging. Okay. Another important thing to know is during each contraction, you'll only be able to fit in about 2 to 3 pushes. Usually pushes look like a deep inhale and then a pushing down for as long as you can, and the nurse or the doctor will likely do some kind of counting for you. They'll guide you through it, and yeah, you are just envisioning all of your power, all of your energy being concentrated in your uterus and helping to push baby down, 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 down. So 2 to 3 per contraction. Depending on how much air you're able to take in, maybe you can do like one really long, powerful one in one contraction, which would be amazing. Okay, another important thing is to instruct your team about who you want to direct you. If you want direction at all, you might find that you get into a really good pattern, you're in tune with your body, you know what to do, you don't want anybody to talk to you when you're pushing. Go ahead and let everybody know. But you might find that there is a nurse or maybe your doula that is giving you really, really helpful instruction. They're doing it in a really lovely tone of voice. If that's the case, let everybody know that they're the only person that you want to talk when you're having a surge, because it can be super distracting when everybody around you is saying different things and yelling out encouragement, and it's super chaotic. If you want, tell everybody to quiet down, and again, tell that one person that they're the one, they're the chosen one. And you can also direct them about what you want them to say, the tone of voice. This is all about you, so let people know what you want. Okay, if progress is not being made, if you're putting in a lot of effort to push and not much is happening, go ahead and try changing positions. Most nurses and doulas are really great about suggesting this, but if nobody's suggesting it and you're feeling like, all right, it doesn't seem like much is happening, ask if you can switch positions. A lot of nurses, the best nurses that I've seen, have women lay on one side, they have a few surges, and they flip over to the other side and have a few surges. Sometimes they get into the squatting position. We keep moving the mom around until we find that position that is really effective. Okay. So squatting, if you don't have an epidural, squatting is one of the most effective positions to get into when you are in the pushing phase. It shortens the birth canal. It helps to widen the pelvic structure. It just makes everything a bit easier. If your legs are really shaky and you don't have a lot of energy, ask if you can sit on a birth stool, because that essentially gets you in a really similar position without you needing to exert much energy. Some hospital beds have like a bar at the end of it that you can hold on to and squat and lean back. There's all different ways that you can squat. You can do a supported squat where your partner or your doula sits in a chair and you lean back into their arms and you're in the squatting position, but they're holding you up, they're taking on most of the weight. So if in doubt, if possible, get into a squatting position and just see what happens. If it's really uncomfortable, if it's not helping, get back into the bed. Okay, so you've probably heard that pushing is like having the biggest bowel movement of your life, and that's true. It's going to feel like you're pushing out a huge ... So yeah, I mean, that's essentially what you need to think about when you're pushing. Just that same like, but it's gonna be like a huge head that comes out instead of poop. And another important thing you can do, especially if you're in one of the more traditional positions, like with your feet up in the stirrups, you wanna tuck your chin into your chest, and that is going to amplify your power. Oh, next one, if you poop, which you might, nobody's gonna know, or you're not gonna know. Other people might know, but nobody's gonna tell you if they have any common sense. Nurses, midwives, doulas are really great at just wiping away the poop, throwing it away. Nobody's gonna make an announcement that you pooped, and you are not gonna realize it. When you are putting in all of the effort and the concentration to push your baby out, you will not be concerned with pooping. Out of all of the births I've attended, lots of the moms have pooped, none of them know it, nobody's gonna tell them, nobody cares. Okay, so it's really, really important to focus all of your energy and power into being forced down into your uterus. So what you physically do is just as important as this mindset. So as you breathe in, I want you to envision breathing in power and courage, amazing strength, and then pushing, feeling, envisioning all of it going down, 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 and making a really powerful, amazing impact and helping baby make a lot of progress. And as much as possible, keep your face and your mouth and everything but your abdominal muscles as relaxed as possible. This takes some practice. You know, in the beginning, you're probably gonna have this kind of face, but as much as possible, you wanna take in that deep breath in. And so your neck, your chest might contract a bit, but as much as possible, keep that jaw, that mouth, your legs relaxed to make sure that none of your power and energy is being wasted on other parts of your body. You want it all to go to your uterus and your abs. Okay. When you feel a contraction coming on, I really want you to prep yourself for the big breath by taking a few deep breaths to prepare yourself, and then you do the big one. Okay. The next tip, it's really important to listen to your care provider if they tell you to stop pushing. So it's fairly common for a baby's heart rate to maybe drop a bit when you're pushing. Don't freak out about it, but if the doctor or the midwife feels that baby needs a few minutes, that maybe you need a few minutes to rest before pushing again, listen to them. They're doing what's best for you and your baby. Take advantage of that time by just closing your eyes, going ragdoll, restoring your energy, allowing baby to rest, because they're also exerting quite a bit of energy as they're being pushed through that birth canal. So listen to your care provider if they tell you to pause for a bit. Okay, the next one, it's really likely that your temperature is going to rise as you're pushing because, again, you're exerting so much energy, your body heats up. So make sure that somebody is assigned, preferably the doula, to have cool washcloths on hand to put on your forehead, to wipe your face off. That can feel really good. Okay, because you can also get exhausted. I know I did while I was pushing. It can be nice to have peppermint or orange oil, essential oil that is really stimulating, and to put a few drops on a tissue and to inhale that in between surges to rejuvenate your energy before you have another surge and you need to push again. Know that, if they feel like it's hard for you to get oxygen, that an oxygen mask might be put on you. Don't panic if that happens. It doesn't mean that anything's wrong. Just utilize that extra oxygen if that's something that needs to happen. All right, another one is asking the care provider to put oil around your perineum. That's going to help everything open, help the baby slide out. When people tell you that you're almost there, it might totally piss you off because you feel like, you told me that 10 minutes ago. But the best indicator that you are actually almost there is when the doula, the nurse, they remove the top of your shirt to expose your skin. And that means that baby is actually almost there and they're prepping you for skin to skin. All right, and so that is really how you do the more forceful pushing that most hospitals encourage. But I teach hypnobirthing, childbirth preparation, and they encourage what's called breathing the baby down. It's really amazing. It is essentially utilizing a yoga breath where you take a deep inhalation and then you breathe out, but you're envisioning that breath and that power going down the back of your throat, down through your uterus and out. They also call it the J breath because you're envisioning that breath following a J pattern. And so instead of doing the pushing where you're kind of holding your breath, you're breathing throughout the surge and you're stimulating your natural expulsive reflex, and you're Again, just like the pushing I just described, you're envisioning your uterus, your abdominal muscles, all that power working to get your baby out. So again, deep breath in, and then really focusing on all of your power going down and out, down and out. I've seen women successfully birth their baby only doing that breath. You can toy around with it, see if it's effective for you. This is a great one to practice when you're on the toilet and to see how it works. You might just have a bowel movement. All right, and when baby's head comes out, you've done it. That's the hardest part. The head paves the way for the rest of the body. You'll have to do some pushes after that, but they're going to be nothing compared to getting the head out. So again, once you hear that the head is out, yay, you can celebrate. And even after the full baby is out, you're going to continue to have surges. You might be asked to do a bit of pushing to help to get the placenta out. And then even after the placenta is out, your body will continue to contract as the uterus is able to contract down to size. So you actually want to welcome those contractions. I think that's everything. If you have any questions about this, please let me know in the comments below.